So today is Wednesday, September 13th, 2017, and we're not doing a new lesson in Eureka Math today. We're just reviewing because tomorrow is your weekly check-in. Okay, so today your learning goal is to be able to review what you know about multiplying decimals and whole numbers. We've been working this week on multiplying decimals and whole numbers. We've learned a couple different strategies for doing this. What's one way with the quiet answer hand that we've learned how to multiply or make copies of decimals? Right, Vic? Yeah, we've made a place value chart and drawn discs inside, right? And made copies of those discs. Like that, a place value chart. Very good. What's another strategy we've used in order to multiply decimals by whole numbers? Young? Yeah, we also learned how to use an area model where you write the number over here, and then you have the different place values, and you write the multiplication equations in the boxes, and you have the partial products at the bottom, and then you use the standard algorithm to find the total product, right? We also used a different way yesterday, which didn't help us find the exact answer, but it helped us find the zone or the ballpark range of where our product should be. What did we use yesterday, Jonathan? Estimation. Yeah, remember estimation? We thought about what numbers are close to the numbers in our multiplication problem, and it helped us figure out what zone the product should be. Okay, so we have three different strategies that we're really working on this week, and those are the three skills that you'll probably need to know for your weekly check-in tomorrow. Does that make sense? Okay, now your weekly check-in does also cover some of the concepts you learned before, like things about place value, things about exponents, things about converting metric measurements. Have we really worked a lot about those this year so far? Yeah, so those will all show up in your weekly check-ins as well. Mr. Richards, who is a teacher of 30 students at Crosstown Elementary School, he wants to take his 30 students on a field trip. Okay, and here are the three choices. They could visit the Big City Zoo, they could visit the Prison Museum, and they could visit the Space Science Show. And here's some research about about each choice that Mr. Richards has done. He knows that the Big City Zoo is 36 miles away from their school. He knows that the entrance fee costs $2.50 per person. So it's going to cost some money for them to go on a bus there, right? And also it's going to cost some money for each student to get it. The Prison Museum is 30 miles away from their school, and the entrance fee is $6.75 per person. Okay, so does the Prison Museum cost more per person to get in than the Big City Zoo? Yeah, but might it still be cheaper? Because it's closer, right? So if the bus is very expensive per mile, is the Prison Museum closer than the Big City Zoo? How many miles closer is it? 6. Okay. Now the closest one of all is the Space Science Show. It's only 10 miles away from Crosstown Elementary School. But what do you notice about the entrance fee? Yeah, it's the most expensive. It costs $11.25 per person to get in. Okay, so do you see how when you're going to a field trip, there's lots of things to consider, like how close it is and also how much it costs? Also, do you think the kids' interest should be taken into consideration too? Yeah, so the class voted on which place to visit, and here's their results. 12 kids, their first choice was the zoo, and the zoo was the second choice for 5 of the kids. The Prison Museum, 8 kids said that was their first choice, and 14 said that was their second choice. And the Space Science Show, 10 kids said that it was the first choice, and 11 students said it was their second choice. So, given all this information, what are some things that Mr. Richards or the teachers should consider when they're choosing a field trip? Talk to your table group.
They want?
Why does it matter what the students want?
Because they would probably like it.
Okay, so since the students voted, the most kids want to go where?
Prison.
To the zoo. Most kids want to go to the?
Prison.
How many kids chose the zoo as their first choice?
12.
And how many kids chose the Prison Museum as their first choice? 8. So most kids chose the zoo as their first choice, but you have an interesting point. How many kids altogether chose the zoo as their first or second choice? 17. And how many kids chose altogether as their first or second choice to the Prison Museum?
22.
So we could interpret the students' choices in two different ways, right? We could say, oh, most kids chose the zoo as their first choice, or we might say, no, altogether, most kids chose the Prison Museum. Huh, interesting. Do we only choose field trips based on what kids like?
No.
What other factors do we need to consider when we're choosing field trips? Eva?
Like how much money it will cost.
How much money it costs. Yeah, and price is determined by two things. The first thing is how much it costs each person to get in. So if we were only looking at the entrance fee, which one would be the cheapest? The zoo. And which one would be the most expensive?
Space.
Yeah. But do we only consider the entrance fee? No. We also have to consider how far it is, right? So if we were looking at, like, if it costs $10 per mile to go on the bus, which one would cost the most for the bus?
Big city.
Right, because it's 36 miles there, and it's 36 miles back, right? So how many miles would the bus have to drive us all together to go to the big city zoo? 36 on the way there and 36 on the way back, huh? What about for the space science show? How many miles would it be all